Gran Turismo 7. The latest in the mainline Gran Turismo series, with arguably the 8th best career mode of the entire franchise. This is due to the linear career path and the fact that you appear to be racing against actual infants strapped behind the wheel of the opponent's vehicles. This raised a question: how could I play Gran Turismo 7's career mode without falling into a coma? The answer was simple: impose a limitation on myself that would bump up the difficulty, forcing me to learn new techniques in order to progress through the campaign that lay ahead. That limitation was the removal of the standard braking system, leaving us with the question: can we complete Gran Turismo 7 with just a handbrake? Username: Jack. Difficulty: hard. And the most important step: removing the brake option from our controller setup. All done? We snatch up the keys to our Honda Fit, because it's blue, and make our way over to the cafe to visit our good buddy Luca. He tells us to head over to the starting grid of the Northern Isle Speedway for the very first race in our career. 5 laps of this notoriously complex track later, and we are crossing the finish line in first place. I'm great at this. I didn't even crash once. That confidence lasted about the amount of time it took me to select the next track, where I was reminded that corners exist in racing circuits. Here, we get the first taste of what it's really like when the rear tyres lock up, making just keeping the car straight a bit of a fight. But hey, these are slow front-wheel drives, so we got this. Hopefully. Luca, Sunday Cup's complete. What else have you got for us? Oh, crap. Now how did I forget licenses existed in a Gran Turismo game? At least it's just the first part of the B license. For now. Starting and stopping 1. All we gotta do is stop in the designated area with a handbrake. Bronze! I'll take it. As the Honda Fit continues to rack up podium spots, we start encountering more complex sections of track, learning to deal with tighter corners, changes of direction, and limited straight sections where it's safe to lock those tyres. And of course, it doesn't always go as planned. Shut up, duck. Not all our issues turn out to be track related though. Downshifting with X while trying to handbrake with circle is not an easy combination of buttons to hit. So, after being forced to make out with a wall, changes need to be made. Our traditional brake button is now assigned to the handbrake, and with this new and improved control scheme, we return to racking up podium spots. Honestly, at this stage, we're barely managing to hold on to the lead during these easy races, so being told it was time to enter a high-speed ring championship was not a welcome surprise. However, there's something bad. There is also something good, as we've been granted access to the tuning shop. Hoping to improve our stability and stopping times, we splash out, purchasing some new sport soft tyres and a bit of weight reduction. What were we doing again? Oh, that's right. These new purchases reduce the amount of time we're converting our tyres into smoke, allowing us to produce faster and more consistent lap times. Because of this, we leave the championship not only holding a nice golden trophy, but also a shiny new Integra. Luca clearly hates us as we are thrown into short wheelbase vehicles. Handbrakes do not mix well with them. They have a strong tendency to go sideways, and do it quickly. Yeah, once we're done here, probably best to avoid these types of cars in the future. Feeling ecstatic for finally escaping those tiny vehicles, Luca informs us that a new championship is on the horizon, and to be eligible, I would need a completed B license. Crap. Starting and stopping 2. Same as before, but a bit faster. 4 attempts later, and the bronze is ours. Now let's knock out the rest of those B license tests. B license acquired. Tokyo, here we come. I wish I could say that this is the point where all the pieces started to fit together and we began to dominate the racetrack. Sadly, this could not be further from the truth. Our cars are becoming more powerful, and yet we are still failing to grasp the most basic fundamentals of a handbrake only run. The Integra being so competitive is the only reason that we were able to escape this disaster with a golden trophy. We continue to struggle through the career, refusing to learn any lessons. That is until the strictest teacher available showed up, a 69 Camaro. And honestly, this car turned out to be absolutely vital to our success, as we were swiftly punished for each minor mistake, forcing us to finally do something that none of my school teachers had ever succeeded in getting me to do. Pay attention and learn. Holding down the handbrake is now a thing of the past. Pulsing it instead, while slower at reducing speed, it allows the tyres to keep traction, providing an overall quicker braking experience compared to sliding all over the place. Not completely balanced when you reach for that handbrake? Yep, that's a fuck up. Into the dirt with you. Sometimes a bad racing line is just what you need to have enough straight available to brake for the next corner. With this, the most basic fundamentals have finally been learned, rewarding us with a now incredibly rare first place. No, not again. We have our A license. That gets us entry into the European Championship. But we're still going to need a car. An old school M3 is our choice. But before it's ready to race, we're going to spend a bit of our hard-earned cash on it. A bunch of performance and weight reduction parts, the expensive racing soft tyres for that extra grip, and a few other parts, giving the M3 a total of 353 brake horsepower, while weighing less than a ton. Let's go a bit further. Aero. Great for pushing the car onto the track, and having wind resistance help with our braking effect. Also, the car's orange now. We're ready for the European Championship, and oh boy, have we been learning. It looks insane, I get it, but that right there is a technique we've developed to assist us in dropping a bunch of speed before a tight turn, allowing us to brake just as quickly as that Citroen we just passed. But it's not the only new trick we've added to our book. We nuzzle up right behind them, allowing the launcher's brakes to slow us down. It's a bit of a Hail Mary move though, as this can cause the front car to adjust its line. Something that's hard to deal with when you've only got a handbrake. In fact, let's get an example of that, in an incident that led us to the most unsportsmanlike win of the entire run. I'm still taking the trophy. From here, things start to go smoothly. We have some techniques under our belt, and for a brief moment in our career, we think that everything onwards is gonna be fine. It wasn't. Introducing the Porsche Cup, with a performance point limit, so we can't just outpower our opponents. If only a fair race was the worst of our problems. Nope, having a car with a dump truck of an ass really makes control with a handbrake difficult. Our downfall came instantly, at turn 1. We gave it everything we had, yet, over multiple attempts, we don't manage to complete a single lap. And if we could, we'd still be too slow to be competitive. No, I'm well educated. Well, I mean, I haven't it. Look, I'm smart enough to put on my own pants. So, let's see if we can't resolve this problem in the tuning. Okay, first thing on our shopping list is ballast. Next up, as it looked like rain, we'll be ditching the racing softs for some intermediate tyres. Because we've degraded our tyres and are intent on loading the thing up with weight, it's going to free up a lot of performance points for power upgrades. So let's just go wild with these purchases. We need to make this car stable above anything else, so we're adding as much weight as possible and putting it all over those front tyres. This is going to affect our stopping speeds, so let's up the downforce to try and counteract that. The car is no longer arse heavy, and even with all our new power upgrades, we still rate within the performance point limit. That leaves us with one very important question. Has it helped? Come on, Porsche. Let's see what you've got. Oh, effortless. Okay, this car has definitely been tamed. Heading up to the end of the first lap, and we have moved further through the grid than any previous attempt, and our Porsche has no intention of slowing down the pace. Fourth lap, and we are making our way into second place, just as the weather starts to turn. We put faith in our intermediates to carry us through the wet weather, but locking up the rear tyres in the wet greatly reduces the car's braking ability, sadly putting first place out of reach. Getting to the finish while holding on to second is now our main priority. Brake, 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 brake. Doughies! Okay, here we go. Second place. That's a pass. Somewhere along the line in our career, we picked ourselves up an old WRX. We gave it some aero and moved the power distribution to be 50-50. Then, the most unusual thing happened. It handled the handbrake really good. No, I mean like really good. Like no need to even pulse stability type of good. Almost as if we were driving it with the standard brakes. This made the races that it was taking part in very trivial. So for that reason, this car has been deemed ineligible and will need to be parked. Before the WRX takes its rest, we will first knock out one final championship with it. But to make things fair, we will also be adding a new difficulty modifier on top of the already existing handbrake only rule. It's a subtle addition, but see if you can spot what it is. It's wet, we've only got a handbrake, and we're going backwards. This wasn't meant to be a serious challenge, merely a bit of side entertainment, as the handbrake is now technically affecting the car's front wheels, reducing the chance of oversteer while braking. What I didn't count on though, is just how poorly the WRX performed in reverse. And with that, a 15-minute side event turned into 3 days of suffering, as I was incapable of letting go and admitting defeat. If we were going to stick with it, then we needed a third place finish. Unfortunately, that white skyline up ahead also had the same plan and was cutting his way through the pack just as quickly. By the final lap, the two of us have made it to a third and fourth place position. With a single podium spot being up for grabs and only a few corners left to cement that outcome, we were becoming desperate. Utilising as much of the track as possible to keep pace, we make a last-ditch effort as we switch over to the inside line. Paint is exchanged, but as we hear nothing from the marshals, we conclude the move is legit. And we cross the line, finally claiming that elusive third place. I don't feel nearly as bad about ditching the WRX now. We are informed that our next event requires a German car with a 700 performance point limit. Also, it's at the ring. We're bringing back the Porsche, only this time with more power. Now I can understand you thinking that getting this much power around the ring with a handbrake would be an incredible challenge. Hell, I thought so myself. Turns out though, bar for a few corners, it's not actually that bad. First, the curve before the fast downhill section, as you need to start slowing down more than one corner ahead to prevent overshooting off into the dirt. Second, the very slow hairpin after the high-speed corners, as the downforce is not effective at low speeds, reducing the ability to knock off that last bit of speed. This makes it very easy to end up in the barrier. And of course, third, the end section after the long straights, where you need to ditch a ton of speed. But Not exactly one to give advice on that. Ow. Okay, we're in the end game now. The first of two final championships. Group 4 race cars and performance point limited races. We've opted for a heavily tuned R32 Skyline instead of taking a matching Group 4 car. This seemed like a solid idea to me at the time, as it allowed us to bring far more power to the event. Looking back though, it was probably a mistake. With the power advantage going into the race, we quickly maneuver our Skyline through the back of the pack, and I don't want to hear a word about that overtake. It was completely legal. The downforce we've applied to our car substantially helps with braking and stability, but coming out of the tunnel, we really need to start braking early, as the road slopes downhill, reducing our effective braking ability, throwing it sideways to lose that last bit of speed. By the long straight, we've moved all the way into 15th position, with 14th just barely visible off in the distance. This entry is a bit hot. Hold the line and stay off the wall. Oh, I tell you what, it was close, but we managed to retain control. This is hands down the worst corner of the track. Another downhill where we need to lose the majority of our speed, throwing it sideways again to drop that last bit of speed before we line ourselves up for the start-finish straight. Over the next few laps, we get into a bit of a groove as we move our way through the pack. By the 4th lap, we're in 5th and fighting it out for a 3rd place position. While our power helps us win that battle, it's becoming pretty apparent that the lack of downforce is really holding us back. I understand this, because it's like the 10th time I've attempted this race. Coming down towards the final section before the start of the final lap, we're given a slight tap by 4th as he overtakes on the outside. That's all it takes to unsettle us, and we're back to involuntarily integrating with the barrier. Our recovery is swift, and with the long straight section in front of us, that 3rd place position will be ours again. Mine! Final lap, and we got 2 goals. First, to try and catch another car in an attempt to improve our position. And second, to get a bit of distance on 4th, so he doesn't pull the same crap again at the end of this lap. As the completion of the race gets closer, it appears that we have achieved neither of those goals. Second is just too far ahead, and we are always slower than the AI on the final S-bend. 4th is getting closer, but hopefully not close enough, as we throw the car sideways. And that's too much angle. Here he comes, and we need to get the car back around. Oh man, that was close. But we've held the position, and 3rd is ours. With that, we're done with road cars. That Group 4 championship was a nightmare, and now we have to somehow tackle Group 3s. Okay, time to get on their level. So we will be taking a Group 3 WRX to the fight, as we enter the final race of the Gran Turismo 7 career. Are you ready, WRX? Let's do this. Oops, that wasn't meant to happen. Let's try again. That's not right. We might be in trouble. Eventually we learn enough control to last 6 laps, but our times are so off-paced that winning is just not an achievable outcome. We need to make a change. Now we have already gone ahead and given the WRX all the available performance parts, so we aren't going to find any extra advantage in the shop. This leaves us with just the tuning section to improve our odds. So let's get to work. The downforce can be maxed out. We're more powerful, so we can sacrifice some of that in exchange for improved stopping power and stability. We can also do some minor suspension changes and adjust the gear ratios to something that suits the corners better. With that, we're back to the races. And has our situation improved? You better damn well believe it has, pulling laps 3 to 4 seconds quicker than previous attempts. This is due in most part to the added downforce that has left our Group 3 WRX almost reaching the same god tier grip levels of the earlier road going WRX. There is, however, a catch. Once we drop to around 100 miles per hour, all bets are off, and the car returns to its previous sketchy nature. Since we can safely slow down to this speed, previous techniques like the 360 are now obsolete, meaning we're going to need to rely more on my natural racing talent. Oh, we're so fucked. Even if we manage to pull out a great performance, there's still no guarantee that the opponents won't take us out during our struggles to slow the car down. But maybe, if we are just lucky enough, there won't be any cars behind us during any heavy braking areas. So by outputting fast and consistent laps, we might just be able to close the gap on a podium spot. Now we just need to get 4th place out of the way. And with that, our battle for 3rd commences. And that is a 3rd place finish, earning a bronze trophy and completing Gran Turismo 7. As always, thanks for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed the vid to convince YouTube to show it around more. And we'll see you next time. Bye.